It was supposed to be just another uneventful night. Just me, the dim glow of the TV, and my own thoughts for company. I had just kicked back on the couch with a cold one when my phone lit up. Her name appeared on the screen, my wife. For a second, I considered ignoring it. Lately, our talks had felt more like chores than conversations. Whatever spark we used to have had dimmed into silence and small talk. Still, a call this late? That was out of the ordinary. I picked up. "Hey," I said, trying to sound like everything was fine. There was a pause, long and heavy, the kind that carries bad news in its silence. Then her voice came through, completely flat. No emotion, no warmth. "I just wanted to let you know I'm filing for divorce." I froze. My grip on the phone tightened. "What?" "I've already got a lawyer. From now on, you'll talk to him. His name is—" "Wait, what? Divorce? Are you serious right now?" "Lisa, what's going on?" Another pause. Then she cut in, voice sharper now. "I'm not getting into this. I've made up my mind. It's done. If you have anything to say it to my attorney." Click. That was it. Call ended. Her name still glowing on my screen like it was taunting me. I sat there stunned, heart thudding like a drum in my ears. That wasn't just sudden, it was surgical. Lisa wasn't impulsive. She was calculated, always had a plan. She didn't make moves without thinking them through. That's what scared me most. This wasn't emotional. It was strategic. The next morning, I did what she told me to. I called the lawyer. "Mr. Carter," a calm, polished voice said, "I'll be handling your wife's case. We can set up a time to meet." Just like that, my marriage became a business transaction. Cold. Detached. I showed up that afternoon at a downtown firm that looked like it belonged in a legal drama. Polished floors, abstract art on the walls, glass everywhere. This wasn't a budget hire. Lisa had gone top shelf. The receptionist brought me to an office. Behind the desk stood a man in his 50s. Tailored suit, silver hair, the whole image of confidence and control. "Mr. Carter," he said, offering a handshake. "Please have a seat." I sat. He watched me carefully, hands clasped on the desk. Then I said something that cracked his mask. "I'm her husband." His whole demeanor changed. Just for a second, but I caught it. His shoulders stiffened. His fingers twitched as he reached for a folder. His face stayed calm, but something in his eyes shifted. I know what panic looks like when someone's trying to hide it. And that's when I knew this wasn't just a divorce. Something else was going on. Something that had this veteran lawyer, a man who's probably seen it all, visibly rattled. And that's when the pit in my stomach turned to ice. I had to get answers. I leaned in, my tone even but my words loaded with intent. "Is there a reason you look nervous, mister?" He swallowed hard. I saw his Adam's apple jump before he forced out a tight smile. "Mr. Carter, I just didn't expect you this early." Liar. He was expecting someone, just not me. He pushed a folder across the desk, trying to act casual, but his hands trembled before he clasped them to steady himself. "You're Lisa's attorney," I said slowly, locking eyes with him. "But the way you're looking at me, you'd think I was holding a weapon." He gave a weak laugh and shook his head. No, nothing like that. It's just been a hectic morning. Let's get started." He opened the folder and pulled out a single sheet of paper. "Your wife's filed for an uncontested divorce," he said, voice gaining a bit of confidence. "She wants a clean break. No fighting over property or finances. No alimony. Nothing to drag out." He slid the paper toward me and tapped a finger on the signature line like he was offering me a way out of my own life. "You sign this and it's done. Quick and painless." "Painless?" I repeated, picking up the document but not looking at it. I kept my eyes on him. "You're not even going to walk me through it? Just sign and walk away?" "As I said," he replied a little too quickly, "everything's already been arranged. Very straightforward." Aha! There it was again, that flicker. His mouth said routine, but his eyes screamed caution. Something wasn't right. Lisa had orchestrated this whole thing. Sudden call, strict instructions to speak only through her lawyer, overly generous terms. This wasn't just about leaving me. She wanted me out of the picture. Fast. I finally glanced down at the document, skimming through the paragraphs of legalese. It all seemed standard at first. Asset division, no alimony, no claims on the house. But then I saw the date. 3 weeks ago? I muttered. He shifted in his chair. Yes, that's when it was filed. I looked up slowly. So when was Lisa planning to tell me? Because the way she spoke last night, it sounded like a last-minute decision. His jaw twitched. Barely, but enough. He'd just confirmed what I suspected. Lisa had been preparing this for weeks, playing nice to my face while plotting a clean exit behind my back. I leaned back in my chair, tapping the edge of the paper against my palm. Tell me something, Mr. Wallace, I said, reading the nameplate on his desk. Do you always look this rattled with clients? Or is it just something about me that's got you nervous? He straightened his shoulders, trying to look composed, but his voice had lost its edge. I assure you, Mr. Carter, this is standard procedure. Standard, I said slowly, laying the unsigned document on his desk. Sure. I stood, smoothing my shirt and buttoning my jacket. I'll need some time before I decide whether to sign anything. He let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Of course, he said, though his tone made it clear he wasn't thrilled. As I turned to leave, I paused at the door. You seem like a sharp guy, Mr. Wallace. And sharp guys don't shake unless something's got them spooked. He didn't respond, but that flicker in his eyes, that sliver of fear, flared up again. I smiled. Enjoy your day. And with that, I walked out. The air outside felt different now, like I just stepped into a storm I didn't see coming. I stepped outside, the breeze hitting my face like a slap. My heart was still pounding. 3 weeks. Lisa had been laying the groundwork behind my back for nearly a month, scheduling meetings, hiring a lawyer, drafting papers, while pretending everything was fine. That wasn't someone who just fell out of love. That was someone hiding something. I pulled out my phone and hit a familiar name. Hey Mark, I said when he picked up. I need a favor. He didn't hesitate. That's why he was my best friend. He heard it in my voice, the edge, the urgency. You all right? What's going on? I think Lisa's been keeping something from me, I said, pacing on the sidewalk outside the law firm. She filed for divorce 3 weeks ago and just told me last night. Her lawyer looked like he'd seen a ghost when I walked in. Something's not right, man. Mark let out a low whistle. That's brutal. Cold, calculated. Exactly. It's not just about ending the marriage. It feels like she's trying to erase me. You thinking she's been seeing someone else? I paused. That was the obvious answer. But it didn't fully explain the urgency. If it were just an affair, she'd probably keep stringing things along like most people do. Lisa's acting like she's got to get me out of the picture fast. Mark was quiet for a second. Then, all right? What do you need? I checked the time. She's still at work. I need you to check her car. Glove box, trunk, whatever. Look for receipts, keys, anything that might tell us where she's been or who she's with. You want me to break into Lisa's car? He asked, half laughing. You really going full private investigator now? I don't have a choice, I said. Something's off and I need to know what. Okay, he said. Send me the address. I'll take care of it. I hung up and took a deep breath. While Mark played detective, it was my turn to do some digging. I headed downtown to the building where Lisa worked as a financial consultant. I didn't go inside, there was no point. Instead, I grabbed a seat at a corner cafe across the street, popped open my laptop, and logged into our shared accounts. The joint one looked normal, groceries, gas, usual bills. But Lisa had her own personal account. She'd always been quiet about it. Too quiet. I moved to our credit card statements. That's when I saw it. A charge for a night at the Crimson Orchid, one of the most expensive hotels in the city. Booked just last week. My stomach dropped. Could it have been a work event? Maybe. But if that were true, why not mention it? Why hide it? And why rush a divorce exactly 3 weeks after filing when that hotel night was just a few days ago? My phone buzzed. It was Mark. You're gonna want to hear this, he said the second I answered. I checked Lisa's car. Found something in the glove box that changes everything. What is it? Meet me. You need to see it for yourself. 20 minutes later, I pulled into a quiet lot where Mark stood by his truck. He didn't say a word, just tossed something to me as I stepped out. A black plastic key fob. Compact. Unmarked. What's this? I asked, turning it in my hand. Storage unit key, Mark said. Found it tucked behind her registration. That's when the pit in my stomach turned into a sinkhole. I stared at Mark, my grip tightening around the key fob. Lisa's never mentioned a storage unit. Mark gave a dry chuckle. She has one now. My heart was pounding like a war drum. A secret storage space, a luxury hotel charge, a lawyer sweating bullets, and a divorce dropped on me like a bomb. It wasn't adding up. But the answers were waiting, and I was done living in the dark. Mark clapped a hand on my shoulder. Let's go find out what your wife's been hiding. The ride over was silent. The kind of silence that hums with the weight of something massive about to land. The key fob sat heavy in my pocket like a loaded trigger. Lisa never needed off-site storage. We had a house with more room than we used. Whatever was in that unit wasn't meant to be found. We pulled up to a large, high-security storage complex, chain-link fencing wrapped in razor wire, cameras on every corner. Not your average locker. This place screamed, "Keep out." Mark looked over at me. "You sure you're ready for this?" I nodded. "I have to be." Inside, the receptionist barely glanced up when I handed her the key fob code. She slid a clipboard toward me. "Sign here. Units in Building C, 3rd row." I signed, my name shaking a little more than I liked to admit. This was it. No more guessing. We found the unit easily. Steel door. Electronic lock. No number, just a scanner. I held up the fob. A beep, a click, and the lock disengaged. I took a breath and lifted the door. What I saw made my blood go ice cold. Boxes. Neatly labeled, stacked like a warehouse inventory. Except these weren't labeled kitchen or holiday decor. Each had a name. Dozens of names I didn't recognize. I stepped inside, my footsteps echoing off the concrete. I popped open the nearest box. Cash. Stacks of it. Bundled clean, sorted like it came straight from a bank vault. And way more than Lisa could afford on her salary. I opened another box. Files. Paperwork. Spreadsheets, transaction records, and documents with signatures I'd never seen. I reached for a leather-bound ledger sitting on top and flipped it open. Mark leaned in, muttering, "What the hell?" Each page detailed transactions, some small, others massive. Wire transfers, shell companies, offshore accounts. This wasn't a paper trail, it was a blueprint for something criminal. I turned to the last few pages and froze. A name jumped out at me, Wallace and Associates. Lisa's lawyer. That's why he looked like he was about to throw up when I walked into his office. He wasn't just handling her divorce, he was part of the entire operation. The room started spinning as it all clicked. Lisa hadn't just blindsided me with a divorce. She was elbow deep in something illegal. And she was trying to vanish before I pieced it together. Mark let out a breath. "She's laundering money. Your wife's got a full-on side business going here." I shook my head, staring down at the ledger. Lisa, the woman I trusted, the one I built a life with, she wasn't just lying. She was running a con. "She's a financial consultant," I said quietly. "She works with high-income clients. She had access. And she's been skimming the cream off the top," Mark added. I clenched my fists. "She's not just divorcing me, she's trying to disappear before it all comes crashing down." Mark looked serious now. "Worse. What if she's setting you up to take the fall?" That hit me like a punch. The sudden divorce, the clean financial split, the lack of questions, all designed to look tidy. Untraceable. And if an investigation started after she vanished? It would lead straight to me. I stared down at the boxes, cash, forged records, ledgers filled with names and numbers that didn't belong to us. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a bad decision. This was deliberate, criminal, and built over months, maybe years. Lisa thought I'd roll over. She thought I'd be too stunned, too heartbroken to question anything. She had no idea who she was dealing with. She wanted a clean escape. I was going to make sure it was anything but. I pulled out my phone and took pictures of everything, the money stacks, the ledgers, the files, every shred of evidence. Then I looked at Mark. "I need to play this smart," I said quietly. "If she even senses I know, she'll cover her tracks, move everything, maybe even pin this all on me." Mark nodded. "So what's the plan?" I looked down at the ledger again. "I'm going to sign the divorce papers." He blinked. "Wait, what?" I smiled. "She wants this done quickly. That's how I know she's scared. So I'm going to let her think she got away with it." Mark crossed his arms. "And then?" I tapped the folder. "Then I make sure when this whole thing blows up, she's the one left holding the detonator." The next 24 hours I played it straight. Calm. No sudden moves. No angry texts or outbursts. I was just the poor guy finally accepting the divorce. I called Wallace the next morning. "Mr. Wallace," I said evenly, "I'm ready to sign." There was a pause on the line, then a noticeable exhale. "That's very good to hear, Mr. Carter. We can schedule you in today." "Perfect." Lisa wanted her exit? I was about to give it to her with a twist. Inside Wallace's office, she looked poised, dark blazer, tidy hair, not a thing out of place. But I could tell. She wasn't calm. She was counting seconds until she was free. I didn't give her anything. No emotion. No questions. I just sat, let Wallace push the documents across the table and calmly picked up the pen. I saw Lisa glance at me. Maybe she expected me to argue. Maybe she was waiting for the explosion. But it didn't come. I signed. A tiny breath escaped her lips. Relief. She thought it was over. I stood, straightened my jacket, and reached into my inside pocket. One more thing, I said, laying a manila envelope gently on the table. Lisa frowned. Wallace's face lost all its color. Lisa slowly opened it. The first photo was the stacks of cash. Then the spreadsheets. The ledgers. Her hands began to shake. What is this? Wallace didn't say a word. He didn't need to. He knew exactly what was in that envelope. Proof. Photos. Names. Transactions. And a flash drive with the entire file already sent to the Financial Crimes Division of the FBI. Lisa's face went pale. Wallace stood up so fast his chair toppled over. You, she stammered, her eyes locked on mine. You set me up. I leaned in, voice low. No, Lisa. You set yourself up. I just made sure you didn't take me down with you. And as if on cue, the front doors of the office burst open. 2 agents in dark suits stepped in, flashing badges. Lisa Carter? One asked. You're under arrest for financial fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. She froze. Wallace didn't. He collapsed back into his chair like he'd been shot. The second agent turned to him. Mr. Wallace, we have questions regarding your firm's offshore accounts. Lisa spun toward me, eyes wide. You can't do this. I smiled. Oh, but I didn't. The evidence did. The cuffs clicked shut. Lisa screamed my name. Wallace didn't say a word. I turned without looking back, adjusted my jacket, and walked out the door. Free.